What if the prayer God never rejects isn't the one you're praying? Most of us ask God for quick answers because the clock is loud and the stakes feel high. We want a yes or a no. We want a door to open or close. Yet the Bible points us to a different first step. Ask for wisdom. Wisdom means skill for right action under pressure. This means not just knowing a fact, but knowing the next faithful move when you feel pulled in two directions. Let me name what this looks like on a normal week. Your boss drops a new deadline. Your kid's teacher emails about a problem. Your budget feels tight again. You start to pray, God, fix this. That is honest. But there is a better beginning that changes the way you carry the day. You say, Father, give me wisdom for the next step. Wisdom reshapes how you see the same facts. It steadies your hands. It slows your words before you send the message you will regret. Here is the claim I want you to test in your real life. The one prayer God always welcomes is a wisdom prayer. This is not a trick to get what you already decided to do. This is a humble ask for God to shape your motives, your timing, and your tone. Motive means why you want it. Timing means when you move. Tone means how you speak while you move. When these three shift, your choices begin to carry peace instead of panic. A quick picture. You are choosing between two jobs. Both pay the bills. One flatters your ego more. One serves your family rhythm better. A wisdom prayer does not force a mystical sign. It asks God to surface what is true, to expose pride, a swollen view of self, and to highlight the option that leads to long-term faithfulness. After that prayer, you make one small move that matches that aim. You book a follow-up call with clear questions about schedule and team culture. You invite a trusted friend to poke holes in your reasoning. You slow down just enough to choose well. Why start here? Because asking for wisdom honors God as the source and keeps you from rushing into damage control. It turns a frantic day into a guided day. It does not remove every unknown. It gives you a way to walk the unknowns with a steady heart. Small takeaway. This week, change your first sentence. Instead of God, fix this. Begin with, Father, give me wisdom for my next step. Then pause long enough to notice what changes. Next, we will hear God's open invitation that makes this prayer bold and safe to pray again and again. Reflection. If God said yes to one wisdom request today, which decision would you bring to Him first? God does not make you beg for wisdom. He invites you to ask. James wrote to people under pressure, scattered by hardship, trying to hold jobs and faith at once. Into that strain, he says, God gives wisdom generously and without finding fault. Just 1 short quote, without finding fault means God won't scold you for needing help again. This matters because many of us hesitate. We think I should know this by now. We worry we used up our chances. God says, ask. Picture your Monday. You open your inbox and see a tense message from a client. You feel your chest tighten. Old patterns say fire back or avoid. A wisdom prayer interrupts that loop. Father, I need skill for this next reply. You do not need fancy words. You need a clear request. You are not earning a right to ask. You already have it because He offered it. Let's make this concrete. A young manager told me she prayed for wisdom 3 times in one morning. First, when a meeting moved without notice. Second, when a teammate made a sideways comment. Third, when she faced a budget call with incomplete data. She said the verse gave her permission to keep asking because the problems kept coming. The result was not a thunderbolt. It was steadier steps, a calm reschedule, a direct but kind follow-up, and a small pilot spend instead of an all-in risk. Here is the turn. If you believe God welcomes your request, then you bring the real problem, not the polished version. You say what you fear. You name the deadline. You admit your mixed motives. You put it all on the table because He already sees it. Wisdom grows in honest light. A brief note on timing. Timing means when you move. Sometimes the answer is fast. Send the kind reply now. Sometimes the answer is slow. Wait one night before deciding. Either way, asking first keeps you from reacting on autopilot. Asking honors God as the source and resets your posture, your inner stance. You are not alone trying to be clever. You are a child asking a father who likes to give good help. Small takeaway. Treat wisdom, prayers, like breathing. Short, frequent, and honest. Father, give me wisdom for this exact step. Next, we'll clarify what wisdom actually is and isn't, so you know what to look for when you ask. Reflection. What situation have you avoided bringing to God? Because you feared he'd be disappointed you needed help again. When you ask for wisdom, what exactly are you asking for? Wisdom is skill for right action under pressure. This means knowing how to move when you do not have perfect data, loud emotions, or lots of time. Knowledge answers. What is true wisdom answers. So what do I do now? Both matter. But when life is moving fast, wisdom carries you across the street without getting hit. Let me show the difference. Knowledge, your child's teacher says. He struggles to focus after lunch. Wisdom, you ask for a short daily check-in, move the hardest subject earlier, and add a 5-minute walk before homework. Knowledge, your doctor explains 2 treatment paths with risks and benefits. Wisdom, you ask a clarifying question, call a trusted friend to pray sleep one night, and choose the path that you can follow with peace and steady support. Knowledge fills the mind. Wisdom trains your next step. Here is a simple grid you can use. Ask 4 things. Motive, people, timing, cost. Motive asks, why do I want this? People asks, who will be helped or harmed? Timing asks, is this a now move or a next week move? Cost asks, what will this choice require to maintain? When you answer these, the fog thins. You stop chasing the option that flatters your ego, and you start choosing the one that grows long-term faithfulness, a steady pattern of right action. Quick context note. In biblical Israel, wisdom was not trivia. It was skilled living under God. Craftsmen, judges, parents, and kings needed it. The Psalms connect wisdom to time and limits. Teach us to number our days, that we may get a heart of wisdom. Psalms 92:12. Short. This means you remember life is short, so you choose what lasts. But there is a trap. We gather more articles, more podcasts, and more opinions to feel safe. Therefore, we delay until the window closes. You do not need 12 sources to send one honest email. You need one clear step shaped by wise motives and kind tone. Pride says, I will never look uncertain. Wisdom says, I will move with what I have and keep listening. A workplace picture. You lead a team through a change. Knowledge gives you the slide deck. Wisdom shapes the meeting. You open with the why. Take questions without defense and name how success will be measured in plain terms. You invite one skeptic to pilot the new process for 2 weeks. You set a review date on the calendar. You chose action size to reality, not to fear. Small takeaway. When a decision hits, write 4 words on paper. Motive, people, timing, cost, and jot 1 sentence under each. Then choose the next faithful step that those 4 lines point to. Next, we'll face a tension that keeps many prayers stuck, the difference between honest uncertainty and a double mind. Reflection. In your biggest current choice, which of the 4 motive, people, timing, cost needs your attention first? James warns that the real block to wisdom is not questions, but a split heart. Doubt in this passage is not, I have questions. Double-minded means 2 allegiances. I want God's way and my way depending on cost. This means I ask for wisdom while clutching a backup plan that ignores it if it feels hard. The letter was written to believers scattered by pressure. Life was unstable. James called them to a steady aim before a steady answer. Here is the key move. Decide your aim before you ask. Aim means what you promise to do with whatever God shows next. If your silent deal is, I'll obey if it matches my preference, your soul is already split. That split makes you restless. You sway with each new opinion. James says, ask in faith with no doubting. Jas. 1:6 short. Ask in faith means ask with a single aim to follow the clearest next step God gives. Let's make this Monday level. You pray about a big purchase, but you also keep a tab open with a limited time countdown. Your aim is mixed, therefore every review you watch makes you more anxious. Another scene. You pray for wisdom about a relationship boundary. Then you text late at night because loneliness shouts. Your actions undermine your ask. One more. You pray about changing jobs. Then you promise both teams opposite things to keep options open. Your yes and no get fuzzy and peace leaves the room. How do you become single-minded without becoming rigid? You pre-decide 3 things. First, truth over convenience. I will not hide costs or spin data. Second, people over ego. I will choose what serves long-term good, not applause. Third, pace over panic. I will not let a fake deadline rule me. Write those 3 on paper. Pray them out loud. Then ask again for wisdom on the specific decision in front of you. If you realize you have been split, do not spiral. Name the competing aim. Confess it plainly. Replace it with one clear sentence, Father, whatever you show. I will take the next faithful step even if it costs comfort. This resets the heart. Questions may remain, but your direction is set. A set direction quiets the storm inside. Small takeaway. Before you ask, write a 1-line aim you can keep even if it costs you something. Next, we'll watch a king make the ask the right way and learn why wisdom remains a daily need, not a one-time download. Reflection. What backup plan is competing with your prayer, and what single aim will you choose instead? There is a night early in Solomon's reign when the room is quiet and his mind is not. He has the throne, but not the experience. Israel is large. Cases will come to him that affect families for years. In that pressure, he prays for discernment, clear judgment between options. He does not ask first for wealth or power. He asks for a listening heart. That phrase matters. A listening heart, an inner posture ready to hear, is the engine of wise decisions. Give your servant an understanding mind, he says, 1 Kings 3:9 short. God affirms the request because it serves people, not pride. You see the fruit right away. 2 mothers bring 1 baby and a tragic dispute. Solomon does not rush. He tests motives with a hard probe, and the real mother reveals herself by her mercy. Wisdom in practice protects the vulnerable. It is not clever riddles. It is love applied with judgment. In ancient Israel, kings were expected to secure justice, fair treatment under God's law. Solomon's ask fits that calling. He asked for the right tool for the real job. But here is the warning baked into his story. Wisdom received once can be neglected later. Solomon wrote about wisdom in Proverbs, yet over years he made treaties that pulled his heart away. He multiplied marriages and horses' power symbols, and the drift damaged the nation. Therefore, wisdom is not a single download you guard on a hard drive. Wisdom is a daily direction you keep choosing. You and I can start well and still drift if our motives shift from serving to impressing. Bring this home. A new director steps into a complex team. In month 1, she asks for wisdom like air. She listens more than she speaks. She sets fair expectations. The team steadies. In month 12, praise grows. She slips into autopilot. She stops asking. Emails get shorter and sharper. Turnover begins. The fix is not a seminar. The fix is a return to the first ask with a listening heart, then the hard work of repair. So, how do we live Solomon's best without repeating his drift? We keep the prayer small and steady. We ask for wisdom for today's real people and real costs. We make room for listening before speaking. We check whether our choices still serve others or mainly spotlight us. We write 1 sentence each week. The people my decision affects most are eek. Therefore, I will. That keeps the center clear. Small takeaway. Pray Solomon's ask in plain words. Father, Give me a listening heart for this decision, and then prove you meant it by listening longer than you speak to those your choice will touch. Next, we'll run every option through a simple filter. James gives a peace and purity test that exposes shaky motives before they hurt people. Reflection. Where have you drifted from a listening heart into autopilot, and who needs you to return to the first? Ask this week. Before you act, run your options through a simple filter. James says God's wisdom is pure, peaceable, gentle, open to reason. Jazz. 3:17 short. Pure means clean motive, no hidden angle. Peaceable means it aims to make things right, not to win points. Gentle means firm without harshness. Open to reason means willing to hear feedback without getting defensive. This checklist will not tell you the color of the car. It will tell you the kind of heart driving the car. Start with pure. Ask, why do I want this? If the honest answer is to prove them wrong or to look important, the option is already bent. Therefore, slow down, bring that motive into the light. Then ask, peaceable. Will this move heal what is broken or inflame what is sore? Sometimes peace requires a hard line, but the aim stays the same. Restore good order, not score a win. Now test gentle. Gentle is not weak. Gentle is strength under control. This means you say the hard thing without the sharp edge. You keep your volume and your face calm. Finally, check open to reason. If your choice cannot survive honest questions, it needs work. Wise options grow clearer when tested. Foolish options collapse when questioned. A workplace picture. A vendor missed a deadline and cost your team. You draft a scorching email. The checklist stops your hand. But you want accountability, but anger wants a pound of flesh. Peaceable, your draft will trigger defense, not repair. Gentle. The tone is off, open to reason. You have not asked what happened, therefore you rewrite. You state the impact, ask for the timeline, set a new deadline, and explain the next consequence plainly. That email tells the truth and leaves room to fix the damage. A family picture. Your teenager broke a boundary. Pure, you want to protect, not humiliate. Peaceable, you aim for a path back to trust. Gentle, you choose a firm consequence and a calm tone. Open to reason. You listen first, then decide. The result is not soft. It is specific and fair. It builds a way forward. Add 3 red flags. First, rushed timeline, fake urgency that blocks prayer and counsel. Second, flattered ego, the option that makes you feel superior. Third, hidden cost, the part you avoid naming. If any flag is waving, step back and ask God for help to clean your motive and widen your view. Small takeaway. Write the 4 words, pure, peaceable, gentle, reasonable, on a sticky note. Before your next hard action, hold your draft or plan against them and fix what fails. Next, we'll turn this into a 5-day rhythm. You can start this week so wisdom grows by practice, not by accident. Reflection. Which word on the checklist exposes your weakest spot today, and what change will you make before you act? Here is a simple loop for one live decision. It fits into a normal week. It builds wisdom by practice, not by accident. Day 1. Ask. Write the decision at the top of a page. Pray out loud. Father, give me wisdom for this exact choice. Name your motive in 1 sentence. Name the people affected. Do not solve it yet. You just asked clearly. This honors God as the source. He will make straight your paths. Prov 3:6 short. Day 2. Listen. Read 1 short passage that checks the heart. Use James 3:17 as your mirror from yesterday's checklist. Circle the word you need most today, then take a slow 10-minute walk or sit in a quiet chair. Listening means you stop input long enough to notice what rises when the noise drops. Day 3 test. List 2 or 3 options. Run each through 4 words, pure, peaceable, gentle, reasonable. Cross out any option that fails 2 or more checks. If an option fails one check, write what would need to change to pass. Ask one trusted believer to poke holes in your thinking. Invite honest questions. Day 4, pilot. Choose the smallest faithful step that moves the decision forward without locking you in. A pilot is a low-risk test. Send a draft. Try a 1-week budget. Book a half-day visit to the new workplace. Set a review date now. Tell one person what you are testing and what you hope to learn. Day 5. Review. Ask what fruit showed up. Look for peace, clarity, humility, and the reaction of people most affected. Note any red flags: rushed timeline, flattered ego. Hidden cost. If the fruit is good, take the next step. If it is mixed, adjust and repeat the loop next week. If it is bad, stop, confess the miss, and return to day 1 with what you learned. 2 real-life pictures. A family considers moving schools. They ask on Monday, listen and read on Tuesday, test motives and options on Wednesday, pilot by visiting classes on Thursday, and review around the table on Friday. A manager weighs a vendor change. She asks, listens, tests, pilots a 2-week trial and reviews with the team using clear metrics. Keep it light and repeatable. Tie the ask to a cue you already do. Morning coffee becomes the bell for a 30-second wisdom prayer. The commute becomes the listen window. Lunch on Wednesday becomes your test check. Thursday at 3 p.m. becomes your pilot move. Friday at 4 p.m. becomes your review slot. Small takeaway. Put these 5 words on your calendar this week. Ask. Listen, test, pilot, review, and attach each to an existing habit so the loop runs even on busy days. Next, we will add the voices you need for steady guidance. How to seek wise counsel the right way. Reflection. Which day in this loop do you usually skip, and what exact step will you try this week to put it back? You do not need a crowd. You need counsel. Counsel means thoughtful guidance from people shaped by Scripture and tested by life. Proverbs says, without counsel plans fail, but with many advisors they succeed. Prov 15:22. Short, many does not mean random. Many means more than one wise voice who will tell you the truth, not just what you want. Here is how to choose them. First, character over charisma. Look for someone steady under pressure, not just impressive on a stage. Second, Bible over opinion. They connect advice to God's ways, not just to trends. Third, proximity over platform. They know something about your real life, your family, work limits, so their words land where you live. If you can pick one older believer who has suffered and stayed faithful, and one peer who is honest and kind. Now, how to ask for counsel. Be specific. Say what decision you're facing, what motives you notice, what options you're weighing, and what cost each carries. Then invite pushback. Please poke holes in this. Wise counsel sounds humble, clear, and concrete. You will hear questions like, what's the long-term effect on your family rhythm? Or how will you measure fruit in 3 months? Unwise counsel is vague, flattering, or rushed. Go with your gut, or you deserve this. Or if you don't decide today, it's gone. That last one is a red flag, fake urgency that squeezes prayer and thought. 2 pictures. A dad considers a second job to cover debt. He asks 2 advisors. One helps him list the true cost in time, sleep, and marriage. The other helps him call the creditor, set a plan, and keep Sundays for rest. He chooses a part-time solution for 90 days with a weekly check-in. That is counsel turning into a plan. A young woman considers a move across states for a role with a shiny title. Her mentor asks about church friendships and serving beyond the job. She runs the peace and purity test visits for a weekend and learns the culture prizes image over people. She declines with peace. That is counsel guarding her heart. A tip for meetings. Bring 3 questions on paper. Take notes and end by naming one step you'll take. Then report back. Reporting back builds humility and keeps the relationship alive for the next decision. Small takeaway. Identify 2 go-to voices this week. Write their names, why you trust them, and when you'll ask them to poke holes in your current choice. Next, we'll face the hard reality of slow answers, how waiting becomes training, not punishment. Reflection. Who are your two truth-telling advisors, and what specific question will you bring them this week? Waiting is where many of us feel faith wobble. You asked for wisdom. You did the checklist. You sought counsel. Nothing clear showed up. James tells pressured people that trials grow endurance, and endurance grows maturity. Stable character under pressure. Let steadfastness have its full effect. Jas 1:4 short. Steadfastness means staying with the right course long enough for it to work. This means delay is not always denial. Sometimes delay is training. Here is the trap. We equate silence with rejection. Therefore, we grab the loudest option just to feel in control. But wisdom often forms in the space where you keep doing the next faithful step without a grand reveal. Keep the 5-day loop. Keep the peace and purity test. Keep asking. God is not indifferent. He is building your capacity so the answer, when it comes, does not crush you. A Monday picture. You are waiting on a health result. Anxiety spikes at night. You cannot force the phone to ring. Therefore, you build a steady lane. Morning, a 2-sentence prayer and a slow walk. Midday, text one friend for prayer, not 5 forums for fear. Evening, read 1 psalm out loud and turn off the feed at 9 p.m. You are not pretending it's easy. You are training your heart to carry the same weight with better form, better habits that prevent injury. A work picture. A promotion decision drags. You did your part. Now you wait. You choose to serve the current role with excellence. You set a small learning goal for the month. You encourage a teammate publicly once a week. If the answer is yes, you will be ready. If the answer is no, you will still have grown. Either way, waiting produced wisdom rather than resentment. Add 2 guardrails. First, set review dates. Waiting without check-ins turns into drift. Put a 2-week review on the calendar to rerun the test and counsel. Second, protect your inputs. Doom scrolling endless negative news browsing feeds fear. Replace 1 scroll block with a 10-minute scripture read and a journal line. Today's next faithful step is, ha. If you notice impatience boiling over, say it to God plainly. Father, I am tired of waiting. Give me grace to hold steady today. Honest prayer is not a failure. It is fuel. Over time, you will notice a change, less panic in your chest, more room in your mind, and the strength to choose well when clarity finally comes. Small takeaway. Put 2 review dates on your calendar. Now, 1 in 7 days, 1 in 14 to check your decision with scripture and counsel, then keep serving where you are. Next, we'll talk about what to do if you made a poor call, how to course correct without shame and restart the wisdom loop. Reflection. Where is waiting? Pushing you toward a rushed decision, and what 2 steady practices will you hold this week instead? Sometimes you only see the mistake after you make it. You pressed send too fast. You spent what you should have saved. You said yes when no was wiser. Wisdom does not end here. Wisdom begins again here. The Bible gives a clear path. Confess, ask, repair, restart. Confess means say the wrong plainly without excuse. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive. As James 1:9 short. This means failure is not your new name. Forgiven is. Start with confession to God. Use simple words. Father, I chose fast and proud. I need mercy and wisdom. Then confess to the person affected. Short and specific. I was sharp in that meeting. I'm sorry. I will repair it. Do not add a long defense. Ownership builds trust faster than polish. Next, ask for fresh wisdom on the same decision. You are not back at 0. You bring lessons. Write 2 lines. What did I ignore? What will I do differently next time? Then rerun the peace and purity test. Pride often hides in the edges. Name it. Replace it with a new step that serves the people your choice touched. Now repair what you can. If your choice cost someone time, offer time. If it cost trust, offer truth and follow through. If it cost money, make a plan to repay. Repair is not grand. Repair is small and steady. It shows up on time. It answers honestly. It keeps the promise made. Over weeks, trust grows back like bone. 2 pictures. A team lead promised a deadline the group could not hit. He owned it on Monday. He reset scope with the client. He protected his team from blame. He set a new review rhythm. The client stayed. Trust recovered. A mom lost her temper. She apologized to her son that evening. She named the exact words and tone that were wrong. She wrote them down on a card and taped it inside a cabinet as a reminder. She asked God for a new pattern at the next stress spike. The house felt different by Friday. Finally, restart the loop. Day 1. Ask. Day 2. Listen. Day 3. Test. Day 4. Pilot. Day 5. Review. You are not stuck. You are learning. Every round grows your capacity to choose well under pressure. Shame says hide. Grace says face it and take the next faithful step. Grace is not soft. Grace is specific. It meets you where you failed and gives a path forward. Small takeaway. Write 1 repair step you will take in the next 24 hours. 1 call, 1 apology, 1 plan, and put it on your calendar. Next, we will land the plane with a quick recap and a simple action you can take today to walk in wisdom with a steady heart. Reflection. What is 1 relationship cost or promise you can begin to repair today, and what exact step will you take first? Here is where we've come. God welcomes wisdom prayers every time. This means you never age out of asking. Wisdom's skill for right action under pressure. Therefore, you can move without perfect data. Double-minded aims split your peace. A single aim steadies your steps. Solomon shows the beauty of a listening heart and the danger of drift. Therefore, keep asking daily, not once. God's wisdom is pure, peaceable, gentle, open to reason. Jaws 3:17. Short. Use that checklist before hard moves. A 5-day loop. Ask. Listen, test, pilot, review builds wisdom by practice. Wise counsel refines your plan. Waiting becomes training, not punishment. When you miss it, confess, repair, and restart. Here is your action for today. Pick 1 live decision. Pray 1 sentence. Father, give me wisdom for this exact step. Write 4 words, motive, people, timing, cost, and jot 1 line under each. Run the peace and purity test on your best option. Take 1 pilot step by 5 p.m. Put a 7-day review on your calendar. Report to 1 trusted person what you learned. If this helped you breathe and choose, share it with a friend who's under pressure. Tell us in the comments where you most need wisdom this week. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode on practicing wise courage when the room is tense. Reflection. What 1 decision will you run through? Ask. Listen, test, pilot. Review this week, and what pilot step will you take today?